Welcome, I'm Rob Kooijmans and today I'm going to tell you something about the building blocks of a food safety and quality management system. Let's have a look what we're going to discuss as part of this presentation. I will start off with a brief introduction. Then we'll discuss why we have a food safety quality management system. Then we'll discuss the building blocks of a food safety quality management system. And finally, we'll discuss on ways how to upgrade your food safety and quality management system in the most optimal way. Let's start with the introduction. In a lot of companies, the current reality of their quality and food safety management system really looks like this. It's very complex. Almost nobody has a clear overview of the entire system. Most of the time, the food safety and quality management system contains hundreds of procedures, instructions and forms, and that again makes it incredibly complex to have the oversight. On top of that, in quite a few companies, there's still a lot of paper being pushed around as part of the food safety and quality management system. Very often we also see it's not up to date, and it's really up to third-party audits to find out those spots that are not really up to date, resulting into minors or majors in a lot of occasions. All in all, the system is also difficult to maintain, especially if it's really paper-based. And very importantly, it is not really co-owned by all the relevant staff. It's seen as the thing of the quality department, and of course it's not. A good food safety and quality management system is really owned by all the departments that it is embracing. And last but not least, if there's too many documents, people don't have the oversight, it's not always up to date and it's difficult to maintain and it's not really co-owned by everybody, what do you get? It is not adhered to. And that's exactly what the system is actually meant for, to describe in a proper way what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Okay, why do we typically have a food safety quality management system? First of all, it should be because of really the internal ambitions of the company. Each food manufacturing organization should have the ambition to have a food safety and quality management system, because you really want to produce high quality food that is safe for people to eat. And the only way to make sure that this is really happening is to have a food safety and quality management system. Next to the internal ambitions, which should be there are always the customer requirements. Nowadays, most of the customers in the international food industry will require you to have a certification based on one of the GFSI, the Global Food Safety Initiative, schemes. And I'll explain the four main schemes here, and there's many more of course, but I'll mention the top four schemes. First of all, we have BRC, which is the British Retail Consortium, and it's mainly required by customers that are either British retail themselves or supply to British retail. And we see that retailers across the globe usually use either this standard or the next one, which is IFS. And that's the equivalent, but then focused on the French and German retail. So if you're supplying to retail, most likely you'll have to have either BRC or IFS, and in some cases both if you have a mix of customers in terms of those certification. If you're producing food products for B2B, then most of the time we see that FSE 22000 is used as the certification scheme. And especially if you're based in the US, there's a fourth scheme which I would like to mention, and this is SQF. And the predominant base for this is North America. And of course, there are legal requirements. Currently, there are no formal legal requirements to have a complete food safety, quality and management system, which is certified, but all the aspects are written down to some extent in the main pieces of legislation around the globe. For example, by law, in a lot of countries around the globe, it is mandatory to have an HACCP plan. And also, we see that things like having a food safety culture is now becoming mandatory. On the other hand, traceability is also a mandatory requirement which is written down in the law in a lot of countries. So these are the key 3 reasons to really have a food safety quality management system. But of course, it should start with your internal ambitions. That's always the best, because that's when you have the highest likelihood that the entire system is going to be embraced by all the people in your organization.